Hello there, guys. How's it going? Welcome to Breakfast All Day. I am Christy Lemire. That is Alonso Duralde. Finally, this week for us, a movie that a lot of folks have loved this award season. A lot of critics have really, really loved. It's not coming out until next week, February 4th.
Yes.
But things are so jammed in February, we wanted to get to it early. It's called The Worst Person in the World. Alonso is going to tell you about it because he loved it. He's the best person in the world.
Oh, stop. This is from writer-director Joachim Trier, whose films include Reprise and Oslo, August 31st, and Louder Than Bombs. And it stars a relative newcomer, I think it's Renate Reinsve. It might be Reinsve. We've been hearing a lot of different versions. Renate, call us. Tell us how you'd like us to say your name, because I am sensitive to that sort of thing as somebody who gets called Alfonso all the time. She plays a young woman named Julie, and she is trying to figure out what she wants to do with her life. When we first meet her, she's a medical student, and then she thinks, maybe I want to be a psychiatrist, and then maybe I want to be a photographer. And then she's working in a bookstore, and she falls in love with Eskil, a cartoonist played by Anders Danielsen Lee, who's been in several of Trier's other films. And there is an age difference there, but they seem to be making it work. But then she falls for a guy named Elvin, played by Herbert Nordrum, and realizes that while he may not be as intellectually challenging as the cartoonist, they do have other things in common, and she winds up leaving Eskil for Elvin, all the while still trying to sort of figure out who she is and what she wants and how she wants to make things happen. And it's a fascinating journey to follow. I just watched this again this week, and I was showing it to Dave, who hadn't seen it yet, and he immediately compared it to Frances Ha, which I had not thought about, but it is along those lines in terms of just a smart and talented young woman who has to figure out what exactly those talents are and how she wants to, share them with the world. Renate Reinsve's performance is stunning. She was our runner-up at LA Film Critics behind Penelope Cruz, and I would have been happy with either of those two winning. I think those are the two best lead female performances this year. This is a movie that is, and it tells you up front that it's going to be 12 chapters with a prologue and an epilogue, and sometimes that sort of thing can be really precious. But Trier and his co-writer Eskil Vogt are really smart about how they divvy this story out and what we see and what we don't see. There are some wonderfully cinematic flights of fancy. There's an extended sequence that you'll know it when you see it, that is very much a trademark for this film, I think. But it really does just kind of come down to, conversations and people trying to, decide who they are and what version of themselves they're going to show to the world. There's a great sequence at a wedding party that she crashes, where she first meets Elvin, and they're both involved with other people, and so they decide to push it to see how intimate can they be with one another without actually crossing the line into cheating. So like they watch each other, urinate. They blow cigarette smoke into each other's mouths. They like smell each other's armpits. Like, we're not cheating. We are not cheating. I love this movie, and I think it's the kind of film that is going to just already from a second viewing, I got so much more out of it, and I think that I will be seeing it several more times. And I just think it's really great. And of course, Trier does really good needle drops. Like, it just finds great deep cuts, including there's a couple of Harry Nilsson songs, one of which was composed for the movie Skidoo, which is an insane film, and I love that Trier knows it well enough to throw one of those songs in here.
So I haven't seen it in a couple of months. I watched it before we voted. What are the other songs in it that he uses really, really well? I can't remember.
There's the Art Garfunkel cover of Waters of March, which is an old Jobim song. There's another Harry Nilsson. I'm forgetting now, but
I put you on the spot. Sorry.
Yeah, but they're good ones, and they're not, it's not like the first Suicide Squad movie where it's like obvious songs telling you exactly what's happening in the movie. Like, he's a lot cooler about it.
So she's not the worst person in the world.
No.
She's really not. But what she's doing here is so tricky because she's a woman in her mid-20s and she's selfish and she's mercurial, but she's not over the top dramatic in any of those changes. Like the subtle shift she makes, maybe she changes her hair or the way she dresses or just how she carries herself. And it's a really subtly, technically precise performance from Renate, whose name we're saying wrong, Reinsve. And I think anybody, male or female, can relate to this, to trying to figure out who you are, trying to figure out who's a good fit, which boyfriend is right for her, how much is she willing to change for them. There's a great scene where she's moving in with Axel and he asks her, how much closet space do you want? And she's like, well, how much can I have? Right? Like she's kind of inherently selfish and self-centered in a way that isn't necessarily wrong at that point in your life, right? And that's the balance that we find here with the screenplay and with her performance. Like, how do you convey some inherently unlikable elements of this character without making her so preposterously off-putting that you don't care about her journey? That's what's tough. Like she's not all the way like a Larry David character.
Right.
It's not that, but
she's a human being, I mean, and I think she's the kind of person where if you knew her, you would maybe occasionally think, whoa, you're doing this now, but not to the extent where you think, oh, you're terrible. It's a coming of age movie, but it's a coming of age where she's in her, she's in her early 30s, and so I never felt like the movie is judging her in any way.
No,
I think it's just sort of following her on the steps that she has to go through. I mean, I remember when I turned 30, that it really gave me this perspective of what my 20s had been like and what I had been like and how I had behaved and things I had to sort of learn the hard way and all that kind of stuff. And so I think just the process of getting older and ideally getting wiser is having a perspective to be like, okay, I did that and I tried that and that led to this. And so maybe I'm not going to do that anymore. Maybe I'll do this other thing instead and it's going to be better for all concerned. And that's the kind of empathy that I'm feeling in this movie.
Mm-hmm. I think I need to watch it again to come to that appreciation. Because I remember I don't like it as much as you do. I like it, but I feel like I need to watch it again to get some of the grace notes here that you speak of. Anders Danielsen Lee. Let's talk about him for a sec. He's also the elusive hunky guy in Bergman Island.
Right. Yes.
At the end of Bergman Island. And our friend Cobb Buchanan did a story about him for the New York Times. He's also a doctor.
Yes.
Like his full-time job in Norway, he's a doctor.
We get Ken Jeong and Norway gets Anders Danielsen Lee. It's not fair.
And he's like, I mean, I don't think he's traditionally sexy or cute, but there's something about him that's really fascinating. Like something about his presence that there's like an arrogance to him. There is a confidence about him that's really intriguing, that makes him more attractive. He's great in this. And the way he has to evolve over the course of this film is fascinating as well. I don't want to say, but like what happens with him and the way that the two of them evolve together as time passes.
And
I think moving.
Yeah. The thing that happens with him that could have been like a real narrative minefield. I think a lot of other movies would have handled in a much more just ham-fisted way. Like it's done very gracefully here.
Yes.
And it's funny. I mean, yes, he is not like standard issue hunky hot movie guy, but he is attractive and he does have a thing that the camera looks at, as is Herbert Nordrum, who plays the other guy that she gets involved with. He's from some angles can be kind of goony almost, but then other times it's like, you see the appeal,
but also you see from that connection they have at that wedding.
Yes.
And there's also like already a hint of danger to it because she's crashed this wedding and it's not like it's a giant wedding. It's intimate. It's in somebody's apartment. And so the threat of her getting caught any second is very exciting. And then she meets this guy, like she dares to flirt with him and drink with him and hang out with him all night. Like that whole section is so tense. Like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Like, how far are they going to push this? And then the way it ends is just exquisitely lovely. The way that section with him ends. I really like this a lot. And again, even describing it makes it sound like nothing happens, but everything happens.
Yeah, exactly. I'm really a fan of nothing happens movies. There's a Ukrainian teenage movie called Stop Zemlya that played like a one screen in LA, but you can get it on demand. And it's really terrific. But again, like nothing happens. It's about these high schoolers in like their last year of high school and just sort of coming to understand things like love and sex and who they are and how they relate to their parents and that kind of thing. And it's really beautifully done. So
and yeah, the one section that you're talking about that was like the trademark of it. It's the image from the poster. It's the thing you see in the trailer. Suggests that it is a different kind of movie than it actually is. It's much more grounded in reality, like day in, day out, just like normalcy of people like talking in the kitchen. You know, so there's this one kind of wacky section where it's playful. It plays. But it's so the whole thing is not like that. So if folks are listening to this, I want them to know it's a much more grounded and much more everyday kind of film than that.
Yeah. But
in good ways.
Oh, certainly. Yeah. So this made my top 5 for 2021. And I'm delighted that it's now finally getting out into the world and more people can see it and we can all talk about it.
What's your number, honey?
I gave it a 9.8.
I'm saying 8.3. So that gives us a 9-ish.
Sure. Yeah, why not? Make our lives easier.
Yes, The Worst Person in the World is out next week. Is it streaming and theatrical?
I think it might just be theatrical.
I think so too.
But you know, I think it's things get to streaming real fast these days, and I suspect that it's probably not going to have the longest of windows. Is it Oscar shortlist? I don't even know if it's like Norway's pick this year.
I don't think so.
But you know, it might if people could tear themselves away from being the Ricardos and House of Gucci and Don't Look Up, this a film that should be absolutely considered in a lot of categories of the Oscars, but you know, they won't. So what are you going to do? All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us at BeFastAllDay on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And hey, check out our Patreon page. So many things going on over there. You can watch videos like this with no commercial interruption. You get our TV recaps. We're currently talking about Boba Fett and Peacemaker and The Gilded Age. We got Pam and Tommy coming up. A lot of cool, fun, exclusive stuff that only our subscribers get. So you should be one. Patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. Have a good week, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.